This is Real Estate Talk Boston. I'm your residential guy, Chris Devon, joined by our commercial guy, Steve Vaza, and I am fired up about our guest today, true definition of a power player. We have our power players here on the show on Real Estate Talk Boston, but this guy defines power player. Joining us is author, national speaker, serial entrepreneur, real estate mogul, Grant Cardone. Grant, thank you for being with us here today.
Hey, Chris, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, Grant, welcome to the show. You know, I'm a longtime fan. You've done some great things over the years. Been following you. You know, you and I share similar backgrounds. I'm an investor in the commercial space, love the multifamily. You know, right now we're experiencing one of the greatest real estate markets that I've seen in years, and I'm sure you agree with that. We're on the verge of one of the greatest tax cuts in the history of the United States. I'm telling my investors, it's time to act. Get off the sideline. There is so much capital right now on the sideline, and I'm telling them now is the time to jump in. What are you telling your investors?
Yeah, so, I mean, look, even without the tax cuts, which I'm very, very excited about, you know, particularly the 100% equipment, you know, no 27-year depreciation on equipment, money coming back into this country, getting rid of the death tax. Those are all really positive things for anybody that ever accumulates things. But the rental space, the multifamily thing, regardless of who's in office, I just don't think this story changes. I think that this is that everybody's underestimating the legs this has. And what I mean by the length of the duration that this story, particularly in a certain segment, I don't know, what end of the market are you guys investing in?
You know, we're in the multifamily space. You know, we'll look at anything, you know, 20 units to 200 units throughout, you know, the Northeast and other markets. But, you know, some of the dynamics that I see that are really helping the multifamily space are, you know, you've got millennials that, you know, they have a lot of, you know, student loans. They get married later. They're deferring big expenses like buying a house. So there's a lot of space for the millennials and everybody to continue renting apartments. And, you know, we're just seeing a tremendous demand.
And I totally agree with you. I mean, that being said, you got 75 million millennials, you got 80 million baby boomers, which everybody, like, nobody's talking about what are those people going to do? They've owned homes. Maybe your mom or dad's owned a home or two, maybe 3 homes. Like, once you've owned a couple of homes, you're over it as a dream. Like, it's not, you know, it's like buying a new car. It doesn't take long.
Well said. Absolutely right.
So you don't just have millennials, 75 millennials buying later. You have 80 million that own, that are literally going to be getting rid of homes. Now, like, you know, my dad died. When my dad died, first thing my mom did was sell the house. She got rid of it. What happens when 80 million baby boomers start dying off every year and letting their homes go? And there's you know, 2 or 3 siblings that have to divide the house up. The siblings don't want the house, they want the money. And all that product goes onto the marketplace and becomes a dumping ground. Literally, it's going to lower, I believe, it will lower the value of single family residences around the country, because you don't have, unlike the 50s and 60s, you don't have people running in to buy homes. We have the lowest home ownership, I think it's at 63% right now, at a time when mortgage rates are the lowest in probably 40 years.
You would think that would be a catalyst to getting people to move in and buy the big homes, but people just don't want to put that kind of capital. They don't want the, you know, all the expenses that go with these big homes. I know I certainly don't anymore. And, you know, like yourself, my father passed away and left my mom with a big home. And the first thing we did was, you know, like you just said, we put it on the market. You know, no one wants them anymore.
Yeah. So again, it just goes to, I think there's more than economics going on here. There is an economic issue, but there's also just a changing interest in how you live, how people live, how they drive cars. Do they own or lease? You know, when my first car, I had to own that car. The people buying their first car today, they're like, yeah, I'm buying a car, but they're really leasing it. And hey, that might even get disrupted to another complete level where I'm not even leasing a car anymore. I'm just sharing cars.
So, guys, just jumping in here, looking at it from the residential side, okay? There's a lot of clients that I talk to on a daily basis who are looking to jump into the multifamily business.
Yeah.
Investing in the real estate, not at the higher level like you were talking, 100, 200 units, but just the 2, 3, 4 units. We have a ton of those in the greater Boston area. What are your thoughts on jumping into that game?
So a couple of things. One, I would stay away from the high end and the $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month rent stuff where there's skyscrapers going up. I would really be very, particularly in your market, and there's probably another 6 or 7 markets around the country that are like this, but stay away from the high end of the market. Number two, I would be very careful at 2 and 4 units. At any price point, I would be very, very careful right now. And the reason I say that is because, you see, there's a flood of people going to that right now. Why? Because it's affordable. Like they can think with, hey, I got $100,000, I can buy 4 units for maybe, I don't know, what could you buy 4 units for over there? A little quad.
Yeah,
$600,000 or so.
Yes. 600, believe it, in some markets it's closer to $1 million.
So,
like here locally, but that market's getting out of control.
I'm gonna tell you, and let me tell you why. Not only is the price out of control, but the economics don't really work on 2, 4, 6, 8 units because they don't produce enough cash flow for you to ever make a mistake. So when you end up with a vacancy problem, or utilities go up, or there's an insurance issue, or there's a roofing problem, you don't have enough income to really substantiate the energy and the effort, even if it's a big return. What I mean by that is, even if you bought something with a 15 or 20% return, which you can't find at those levels. You're still got to look at how many dollars did you get every month for the energy and the effort, right?
Makes sense. Yeah.
So like $100,000. If you earn 15% on $100,000, that's what, $15,000 a year. The next question you have to ask yourself is, for $1,200, do you want the liability of the 4 units? Do you want to sign on the loan? Okay. Do you want to be there for the next 10 or 15 or 20 years? Do you want to take care of tenants for $1,500 a month? It's not just about what your return is. It's about the dollars, real dollars that you can spend. And all that is if everything goes perfect.
Makes sense. Grant, I recently was in a conversation. Somebody brought up mobile home parks as being a great investment right now. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, I love anything that's got income. I love mobile home. I don't like some of the risk with wind and tornadoes and storms, but I do like the concept of owning any piece of land that has income on top of it. I don't like office. I don't like retail. I love storage. It's a funny thing, people get stuff and then they store it, never use it, but they never will get rid of it. So it's weird what people will pay.
I was going to say, I love this. I love that space. We have a lot of storage units, and to me, it's not too dissimilar to apartments. We really like that segment.
And in many ways, storage has a lot of advantages over apartments. There's no toilets, there's no tenant.
Sure.
You got one light bulb, not 50. So there's a lot of advantages, right?
Yeah. So are you telling your as part of your portfolio right now? Are you looking to get into a lot of storage units?
No, we're not. It's not my deal. It's not. I don't do that. It doesn't mean I wouldn't look at it. If I do it though, here's the difference. Your first question was, what are you telling your investors? I'm telling you right now, most investors are better off playing with you or me on 200 or 300 units than they are owning 4 units 100%. You need scale. It is critical and vital right now. If you're going to buy apartments, you must have scale. If you're going to own 4, 5, or 6 units, or 8 units, or 10, or 15, leave this game to the professionals. Okay.
So that's like jumping into a fund. I believe, Grant, just following you, you have.
Yeah, I would syndicate or partner with somebody or be in somebody's fund. I would not do REITs. I would definitely avoid the REIT. I'll just tell you what I would avoid right now. I would avoid anything under probably 16 units, and I would prefer that you get up into the 30s before you actually bought something by yourself.
Makes sense.
I think that's good advice.
Okay, because now you have enough income, because the thing about multifamily and all real estate goes through cycles, right? Everybody knows that. I buy at the bottom, the middle, and the top. But the reason I can buy at the top, we're probably close to the top now, is because I need income to weather the storm until the next top, right? So I need enough units to produce enough income so that when things pull back, values pull back, rents don't. So the value of my property might come down from where it is today, but the rents should stay up here. I'm not selling right now anyway, right? I'm accumulating assets. This is a long-term play. Nobody in real estate or apartment buildings or storage really should be thinking about anything less than 10 to 15 or 20 years.
Very, very good advice. I adhere to that myself. Hold it all.
This is fantastic information. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Grant Cardone right here on Boston.com. Grant, let's flip it to the media side. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of watching over the years. I love your story of going to the networks and they told you basically to pound sand. You said, you know what, I'm going to create my own, and you've done a phenomenal job at that. Taking a step back, we have our show here. We're trying to grow our businesses and also grow our show and our media presence. How do you do that? How have you gotten it to that level, balancing both your business and the media side?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to balance anything. I'm trying to do my thing, right? So I'll give you an example. We're buying 507 units. I think it's 507 in Houston from one of the largest multifamily owners in the world, actually. His son, when the deal hit, the offer hit, it was an off-market deal. When the offer hit his desk, he put my name on his calendar. His son, who's 26 or 27 years old, saw his dad's calendar and said, "Hey, what are you doing with Grant Cardone?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, you got a meeting with him on Friday. What are you doing with him?" And he's like, "Well, how do you know Grant Cardone?" He's like, "I follow him on YouTube." Okay. Now the dad didn't know who I was, but the kid did. So
makes sense. Yeah.
So look, the more people that know you, the more people that know you, your businesses. I built my businesses. Basically, they're businesses that are all symbiotic. They're having symbiotic relationships. It's like a glove and a hand, right? I got to have the hand for the glove to be pertinent. So that's how my businesses are built. When I move this one, it moves the second one a little bit, or the third one a little bit. So I'm not really trying to manage any particular activity. I'm trying to do my life, and inside my life, it's like a circus here, right? There's a circus set up, and Jumbo the elephant needs to be fed. The trampoline guys, jumpers. It's all this activity going up, but it's creating one show.
Makes sense. How about speaking to the audience? We have a lot of real estate professionals here locally that follow us. Real estate agents, real estate sexy, right? I think a lot of people want to jump into the game. Few of them might be crushed, but it's great advice from what Grant just gave us. A lot of people thinking that they want to get into that, multi-unit, 2 to 4 unit game, and you just gave some great advice on that. So whether you're trying to start the investor business or jumping into, let's say, selling real estate or really selling anything as an entrepreneur, what's your advice to that person getting off the ground?
Yeah, look, you got to get known. Nobody's going to buy from you, no matter how good the deal is or what the offer is or how low the commission is or whatever. People have to know you. So the number one thing today that we work with a lot of sales organizations. One of my companies is working with sales organizations to dominate their space and literally steal market share from their competition. And the first thing we do is, look, you have to be known. You have to be first on people's minds. I worked with a real estate broker and his wife in Los Angeles, California. We started working with them about 7 years ago. Last year they did under $496 million in sales in the city of Los Angeles. Almost a $500 million, okay? So
Big volume.
they weren't even in the market. First thing they did was they went in there and became known. They had a target and a goal to be the top 3 in the market. They did not worry about the other 97% of the market, of the real estate agents there. They focused on the top 3%. Really, it was the top 1% and 3 agents. And they went in there to actually take that market share from them by looking at what those people would not do. So I would tell the real estate agent or people that are trying to get in the space, become great at PR, great at marketing, great at promotion, and great at selling.
And follow Grant Cardone and Grant Cardone TV and read the book 10X. Right? Grant, in regards to, we're running out of time here, but just from what you guys were talking about with real estate investing, for the person who just heard your comments about the multifamily units and maybe now looking to redirect their efforts, how do you get into something like the funds that you guys were talking about? Is there an opportunity for the medium investor, or do you have to have millions of dollars to jump into something like that?
So what we created here was basically, I created a fund for my brothers and sisters to invest in. Really, it was for my brother, my sister, and executives in my company. I see these guys working hard. They can't find the time managing their families and their own businesses to go do these other things, and I was doing it. So these are basically my brother. My brother's in Europe. He can't buy apartments in America because he's in Europe. He doesn't have the time to look at them. So I created a fund where my brother, sister, executives, close friends, associates could literally invest with me in big deals. These are big monster deals. These are $80 million, $40 million, $50 million deals. We'll close $200 million worth of deals, and it'll only be 3 deals. And we'll do those 3 deals will be about $210 million worth of deals by the end of the year. I'm letting everyday investors able to ride with me in my deals with my money. Okay, so I get the debt, I manage the deal, I find the deal, I underwrite the deal, we manage the deal, and we partner with other people to buy these deals. The difference is I'm buying the deal whether anybody comes in or not. Okay, the fund is called CardoneCapital.com. It's for accredited investors only. We made a very hard decision on that. It was like, hey, do I open this up to everybody or accredited? And I just decided, you know what? Let me only open this up to people that have their money in order, enough cash sitting aside, people that have done investments and other things. Let me make this for accredited. So the minimum investment's $100,000. Our average investor is doing almost $500,000 right now. And we only buy cash flow properties, so you get a check every month. AT&T doesn't even give you a check every month. They give you a check every quarter. Bank of America won't do it. One last thing I want to say to you guys that I think it's important for your audience to hear. Consider the fact that Bank of America, Wells Fargo, will not lend you money to buy their own stock, but they'll lend me money to buy an apartment deal.
Right.
So what does Bank of America believe in more? Apartments that have income? Okay, the easiest loan to get in this country today is an apartment that has income. An apartment, it's easier for me to get an $80 million loan on an apartment deal with income than it would be for me to get a loan on a house.
True story.
That's very true.
And probably impossible for me to get a loan on Bank of America stock. The bank will not even lend money on their own stock. What are they telling you? We don't believe in this paper.
Sure.
Well, it's really a great opportunity, Grant, for people who aren't in the industry to leverage your years of expertise to ride sidecar with you and get a monthly distribution from income producing cash flowing properties. I mean, what's better than that?
Yeah, well, and the other thing is it basically accelerates people's growth. So you don't have to do what I did. I started with 1 unit. Okay, it was 7 months into the deal, I realized, oh my God, this was a mistake. I sold it, got my money back. My next deal was 38 units. The deal after that was 48 units. So I'm basically letting people come in. You don't have to do the 1 unit, the 4 unit, the 8 unit. You can literally come in and ride on 300 units your first deal.
How good is that?
Great way to do it. Like I said, real estate's sexy. A lot of people want to jump in, right? And a majority get burned because they just don't know how to do it. So to jump on the coattails of someone like yourself or even Steve here locally, that's a great way to get into the game.
Yeah, exactly.
So Grant, won't take up any more of your time. Thank you so much for coming on Real Estate Talk Boston. And Steve, anything else?
Grant, thank you very much for your time.
Hey, you guys, thanks a lot for having me, all right?
Cheers. Remember, we have more real estate videos just like this one right here on Boston.com.